Hey everyone, it's Simone Watson, and I owe you all a brief apology. I mean, I owe you an apology. Let's just take that. Yeah. Um because I said I was going to do Strike Back Videothon and try and make videos for 30 days straight, and then I just have skipped the past few days. So, I am sorry about that. It's just been a busy week and yeah, but I'm back. I'm back and I'm very excited for the video I'm about to do because it just occurred to me to talk about this a few minutes ago. So, if you've seen my reading goals video that I posted, I think January 10th, reading goals for 2018, you will know that I talked about something called Blackout 2018, which was started by Denise from Arts Books Live. I think it's Arts Books Live. Um, she, it is a project in which she is reading only African American authors for the entire year 2018, and other people have joined into this. And what I was telling you is that I will do the same thing, but I will do it in 4 months of this year, which are February, May, August, and November. And I am kind of expanding it. Instead of only reading African American authors, I am reading Black authors, which is a worldwide term. You could be Black and there are Black people all over the world. But I think it's an amazing idea. And I'm so excited for this, especially because this month is Black History Month. And I found out recently there is something called Read Soul Lit. This was started by Brown Girl Dreaming, who is another booktuber. I will link her channel below, as well as Denise's channel. So Read Soul Lit is about reading, African American specifically, authors in February. And I think this is amazing. Okay. So there are going to be videos that go with Read Soul Lit. There's a hashtag and everything. So, you can see that because there's just a whole bunch of people making the videos for the theme. And well, the thing is, it occurred to me a few minutes ago that I was like, I could tell you my TBR, or I could tell you what books are on my Libby app right now that I'm about to read, or I could do the try a sentence challenge, which I think I will do. But I haven't told you yet why I want to do this. And I think that is an important question, is why do I want to read Black authors? And why do I want to read African American authors specifically? Because I haven't, like, I want both, right? And so it didn't occur to me that, like, I haven't told you why, like, and you might wonder why. It's so hard to explain, but I'm gonna try it. And there are people who have talked about this and will talk about this more eloquently than I can, probably, but I'm just gonna do my best to talk about my reasons. So when I was a kid, right, on TV, I used to watch Kenan and Kel. If you're young, you might not be familiar with Kenan and Kel because it was like on TV in the 90s. But if you've seen Saturday Night Live, I believe Kenan Thompson is on that. And then Kel Mitchell, I believe his last name is Mitchell. He's on the show with the games, the Nickelodeon, something, I don't know. Anyway, it's these two actors and they were on Kenan and Kel, and it was this amazing sitcom about these two Black teenage boys getting into scrapes and just doing all kind of stuff that just didn't make any sense. But, like, it was funny because they always had, like, a scheme. I don't know. It was great. There was just catchphrases and everything, and here it goes and all that. So anyway, that show, we used to have so much fun watching that show when I was little. I was born in 94, so when I was like 3, 4, 5 years old, we'd watch that show, me and my sister and my brother. And I don't know if at that time, like, I would watch that and I would watch Gullah Gullah Island. I don't know if at that time I specifically thought in my mind, like, oh, these are the shows with Black people, like, that makes them specifically special. Or if I could have articulated it, but I feel like I did feel like that, like, if that makes sense. Like, there was this connection that's like, okay, this is my culture and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing that there are other people that understand this. Um, caveat there is that no caveat. There's a slight modification there. I did say Gullah Gullah Island. That takes place in a slightly different culture because it is the Gullah or Geechee culture of North Carolina. So it's a little bit different, but it's still that is still like a subset of African American culture. So the thing is, getting to see your own culture reflected like on TV when that's not something that you generally see is awesome. And many people have talked about what is called double consciousness, the double consciousness of Black people or like Black Americans. I can link you a video about that too. That's something I'm still learning about. But it's the idea that you switch like if you're African American, you have two different, I don't want to say two different worlds, but kind of. You have like when you're at home or when you're, with family or some environment and you're with like mostly other African Americans, and then you have like when you go into most of the like kind of like the rest of the world, and you get very used to switching. This may not be like true of everyone's experience, but this is very true to me. I have talked before about code switching. Code switching is just a small part of the double consciousness. Some people don't code switch. That doesn't mean they don't have the double consciousness. Some people have a double consciousness, but they may not code switch. So, but code switching is when you talk in one dialect with like family or with people of the same culture as you, and then you talk in a different dialect elsewhere. So I code switch. I switch codes. There are things that I say when I am around like just African Americans, but more specifically like my family. If I'm around my family, if I'm around like my mom's side of the family or just like my immediate family, I will say certain things and talk in a certain way in terms of dialect. And it's like different when I go to like back when I was in high school, like when I would go to school, right? So there was a different way of speaking. Or the way I'm speaking right now is in more of a general kind of, I don't know, like general vernacular, but I'm not speaking African American vernacular English right now. But I would do that if I were going with my family. I also do it when I get really excited or like angry in a certain way. Then I switch codes, but it's not because being angry. How would I even explain that? It's like I'm just letting my guard down. Like I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm just like kind of like just letting my guard down, and so I start talking in that kind of dialect, if that makes sense. So I'm sorry, I forgot where I went. Oh yeah. So this is something that as a kid, I think I like felt ashamed of this, right? Like, because a lot of people don't really understand code switching and think that it is either bad or it is fake or it is, a sign of like a lack of intelligence. It's not, okay? Code switching does not make you less intelligent than someone else. Speaking in AAVE or in any dialect, really, in any vernacular dialect does not make you less intelligent than someone else. Like, and I'm not like, I don't know. I'm not going to just sit here and just be like, 'cause I'm going to just get upset. But the point is like, that is a part of my culture. And having felt ashamed of it for so long, and then realizing that like, okay, like that's not a bad thing. Like that's nothing to be embarrassed about. Like, it's a relief when you realize like, okay, like that's not bad. That's normal. And so when I was in high school, we were assigned a bunch of books. Some of them I didn't really read. Some of them I read all the way through, whatever. And one of the books we were assigned was Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. And Invisible Man to me does a great job of kind of expressing the double consciousness, or like, yeah, the double consciousness, but also Invisible Man talks about like trying not to be stereotyped. Like trying to do stuff just so you won't get stereotyped. And I feel like this is very true to my experience, right? So when I talk about being ashamed of code switching, I almost got ashamed just then when I mentioned it and when I said I code switch when I'm angry, because I thought for a second that you guys were going to think, "Oh, angry black woman stereotype. Confirmation." No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? Please do not read me as saying anything like that my culture exists more when I'm angry. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, again, when I'm angry, I don't inhibit myself as much. Like I just let my guard down, and that's why like I'm just talking in whatever way because I'm letting my guard down. But see, that's the thing, is the feeling that I have to explain something to you just so I won't get stereotyped is a very real kind of fear that I have lived with for a lot of my life. Is the fear that if I do a certain thing, even though I really want to do the thing, oh, I'm going to get stereotyped, blah, 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 right? So Invisible Man was a book that took that feeling and expressed it very, very well. And so when I read it, I was able to feel understood. Like, okay, I'm not the only one that feels like this. Like, other people feel like this too. And the main character in it, he was saying like he didn't want to do certain things. Yeah, like he didn't want to eat certain things. But then one day he saw this man selling sweet potatoes in the street, and he didn't want to eat sweet potatoes before in public because people would think, oh, you're just so country, like you just whatever. And he was just like, bump it, like I'm gonna eat a sweet potato. So that's what he did. He ate a sweet potato. Like, it sounds like, oh, it's such a small thing. That was a big deal, okay? Because that was just like, you could see the way that it worked in his mind. So this book was really great for me, right? Okay. But when we were assigned it in class, I was the only black person in that class, right? This was my 12th grade AP English Lit class. Sorry, this is not going to be a happy story exactly. We were assigned this book in class, and there are a lot of references in this book to a certain type of doll. It's spelled Sambo. I am not sure whether this word is considered profane. I don't think it's profane. So I'm just going to say it, okay? But it's Sambo or Sambo. They're talking about the Sambo or Sambo doll in Invisible Man. And like I said, I'm the only black person in the class, right? So I'm in this class, and no, there might have been one other. I'm sorry. I think there was one other black person in the class. We're in this class, and people were reading it, and people were like, wait, but like, what's a Sambo? Like, what's a Sambo? And my teacher was like gonna explain it to them, I guess. And my teacher was white, and she was white, and she was like, oh, it's just this like doll made to like make fun of black people. And she was like, we're going to she was like, if you want, like, we'll come in and I'll Google it and I'll put it on the big like projector screen and I'll show you all what a Sambo doll looks like. And for me at the time, at 17, this made me really, really uncomfortable. She didn't end up doing this, but she was like, yeah, I'm gonna Google it and I'm gonna put it on the screen. And I think I was like trying to say like, I don't think you should do that. I was very uncomfortable because a Sambo is a specific image meant as a caricature of African Americans. It's like associated with all kinds of negative. It's hard for me to even talk when thinking about this because it makes me so uncomfortable. But it's associated with all these kinds of negative stereotypes and like just black people just being like just like dumb or whatever. We're not dumb, okay? But like, this was something that was perpetuated for a long time. There were there were white people painting their own faces to look like a Sambo and make like these jokes, you know, if you've heard of blackface, like, and just make these like gross, like disgusting jokes about like how dumb they think black people are. Like, it's, and so for me, like, even as a 17-year-old that wasn't around when this type of doll was like really popular, it still just like made my skin crawl to think of this. And I felt frozen because I felt like I didn't know if I was supposed to be offended. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know, because I was like, well, she's just trying to show them what the doll looks like. But I just felt like so gross about it. And I didn't know if I was supposed to be offended at this. Like, am I allowed to be offended? Like, if she's not calling anyone a Sambo, even though, yes, that is also considered a racial slur. Like, she's not calling anyone that. So do I have a right to do I have a right to like say like I'm uncomfortable? And then of course there is again that stereotype that I want to see. My face is getting hot because I just feel uncomfortable. But there's that stereotype that I also feel the need to avoid, which is the angry black woman stereotype. So then there's the question of like, can I say that I'm upset about you trying to show people this doll without me being taken as just the angry, sensitive black woman? And I'm sorry, I feel like I need to make a part 2 to this video because I feel like this is getting really negative. This is getting into the more negative aspects of why I want to read African American literature and black literature. And I want to focus on the positive, but the positive is that Invisible Man is amazing. And you should read it. But like, I guess my point is, I feel like having moments like that where it's like, I don't know, first of all, if I can say something about my discomfort. I don't know if I'm able to feel that or allowed to feel that. I don't know how to say something because I don't know how to explain all of the just ick feeling that I feel when I think about this type of stuff. Like, I didn't know how to explain it at the time. And the thing that is great is that there are people that have written about these types of struggles. They write about the difficult parts of being African American. They write about the parts where someone is saying something and it's really not feeling right to you and you don't know like what to do. But like, people have written about these experiences, and when I read about them, it's like I feel freer to feel what I feel. That it's not wrong of me to feel uncomfortable about that, about the idea of having these images, these giant images on the wall of something that was specifically meant to make people like me feel like animals. You know what I'm saying? There's no, like, it's not wrong for me to say, like, I'm really not comfortable with that. I really don't want to see this image. And, oh yeah, I remember my teacher was like, yeah, but I have to show them this because this is our history, right? She's white, but she means our history, like the U.S. history. She might have said our culture as well, like U.S. And I'm like, I understand you want them to know what's real, but like, this is not the way to, like, I don't think this is the way to do it by putting this image on the wall and all of this and all, I don't know. So the point is, other people are going to feel differently. Some people may have felt perfectly comfortable with this. Some people, black or otherwise, may have felt like, oh, it's totally fine that there's going to be like a Sambo right there. But like, just my point is, when there are feelings like this that are attached to being black or being African American, and like, I don't know how to handle them, like, it's great to have books. It's great to have books where like other people feel like that too. And it's like, we can is commiserate the word I'm looking for? Like, yeah, we can relate on that level. And then on the other end, like, our culture, I really believe that my culture is beautiful. I am not ashamed that I'm African American. I'm actually like, I feel like, yeah, I feel like it's really great. Like, I love that I'm African American. I don't love all of the negative things that have been done and things that, things that are still going on that are negative, in terms of like racism. But I love being African American, and I love my culture. And being able to read books and just have those like moments that make me smile too, because they remind me of things that I experience in my life that are good things, but that I don't always see in books. Like, that's awesome as well. And, an example of that would be The Boy in the Black Suit by Jason Reynolds, which I've talked about a little bit, so I'm not going to really go into. But basically, that book, I felt like, man, like, I see my culture in that book, and I see positive things about my culture, and I love it because it makes me smile. It makes me happy. So I feel like there's like so much more to say on this topic. So there might be a part 2. But it's just that there's so much to say about like why we need African American literature and why we need Black literature. Why do we need these perspectives? But there's also like, why do I need that? Why not say why do I need, because that sounds like really selfish, but what I mean is like, why am I choosing to read that? And it's for that reason. It's because I want to know that I'm not alone in certain feelings and in certain situations. And Invisible Man really helped me in spite of that situation surrounding Invisible Man. But the book itself really helped me understand that I'm not alone. And the book came out 50 years before I even read it, and it still was just like so relatable to me. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna do a part 2 at some point. But just please let me know if any of these things that I've talked about if they ring a bell with you, or if you just let me know your thoughts, please. I would like to hear them. And I will see you really soon, probably on Monday. Bye.